Okay, I'm live on YouTube and Facebook. There we go. Hello. I was just saying I'm live on YouTube and Facebook now, so I can just relax. I've already pushed all my buttons here to get myself set up. I've got my schedule written out for tomorrow morning. I write all of my appointments on a Post-it because if it's just on the screen, I forget what's going on. So, okay. Just waiting for people to turn up. What was I going to say? Yeah, I think I'm better today. I was sick for the last few days. I think today's a turning point. I felt better today, so that's good. Okay. I'm still coughing a little bit, though. I had to leave last night. I had my regularly scheduled live, and I had to leave early on my TikTok one. That's the last one I do. My voice was giving up by that time, so I hate doing that. But anyway, nothing I could do. Didn't want to get a coughing fit on a live. Okay. So you can start asking questions. If you're new here, my name's Lisa. I'm a parenting coach. If you go on the link above, you can see my free behavior board, my mini toddler courses, my big boot camp course, or you can look into coaching. I can't take everyone on these days because I'm really busy, but you can look into coaching, and then you can send me an email and request to get put into coaching. Anyway, but tell me the ages of your kids and why you want to work with me. So, okay, here we go. Oh, and by the way, the boot camp course, I'm doing those live Zooms every Saturday right now. I'm doing 5 more weeks, so you can get in on that. You can check it out. That's with the boot camp course only. So it's a lot of fun. I can't wait till the 6th session. The 6th session, because that one, everyone's going to be finished the boot camp course, so I want to see how you're doing. Okay, 18-month-old waking up every 2 hours. It's exhausting. Sleep train. At 18 months old, are they still in a crib, or are they getting up and walking around? And sleep training, if they're walking around, yeah, it just changes. So I need to know, are they in a crib? Like, are they contained at night? Or are they getting up and walking? Yes. What does that mean? Yes, they're in a crib, or yes, they were just a sec. Still in a crib. Oh, so she's contained. Yeah, do sleep training. The sleep training is when you just let them cry. Go in there every 5 minutes. You're okay. Try and lay them back down. They're not going to lay down. They're going to be hanging on screaming. So just try and say, you're okay, pat them on the back, and then leave the room. If it's that bad and it's driving you nuts, it's because they're still really little. If they're in a crib, I might do this. I would sit beside their bed in a chair in the dark and give them your hand through the rail and pretend like you're asleep. So you're like nodding off in the chair. You don't look at them or talk to them. Let them scream. You're right there, okay? So yeah, you can do that. Sort of an easier way of doing it. It's going to last longer, I would suggest. It might go on for longer, but yeah. So, geez, I've been busy this week. Yeah, what was I going to say? Can't remember. Anyway, it's only Wednesday. Holy moly. I've packed in a whole bunch just in the last 3 days. So, good advice. Yeah, the pretending you're asleep. Do not be exciting or talk to them. If you're talking to them, they're not going to go to sleep. But if you're sitting there nodding off like that, I'd fall asleep if I had to watch someone else fall asleep. Okay, so next question. I'm just waiting. I'm also on YouTube. All of my lives are saved on YouTube. So while I'm doing all my lives, I go from Facebook to Instagram to TikTok, and then I'm on YouTube the whole time. So all through that. And that's where they're saved. I haven't got much of a following on YouTube yet. It's a slow burn. YouTube's a search engine. I spent a lot of time watching YouTube, but yeah, it's really changed a lot. So yeah, just I got someone working on that. I haven't quite figured YouTube out. Okay, I haven't figured anything out. I've got someone who does all my social media. I don't figure any of that out. I know nothing about it. Okay, so I'm just waiting for your questions. In the meantime, I might read out my top 5 tips for parenting toddlers. Yeah, I'll read that one out. That's a popular one. And I specialize in teenagers, by the way. A lot of people say to me, do you work with teenagers or older kids? Because on lives, it's mostly toddlers. So, but yeah, I specialize in teen crisis work. So yeah, I deal with all ages. Anyway, these are my top 5 tips for parenting toddlers. Number 1 is child-proof your home so you never have to say no. Number 2 is set up a toy rotation system so they're never bored. Number 3 is you enter their world to connect with them. You watch how they play and you join in. That's how you enter it. And then you can sort of offer suggestions and play in different ways. But anyway, that's how you connect with a toddler. Toddlers under the age of 3. You don't go to the nail salon. You go to the park and roll down the hill with them. Get in their world. And it's sort of the same. Number 4 is when you're disciplining a toddler, you enter their world. They're not about words, they're about actions. So if they do something naughty, you do consistent corrective actions. You remove them from the fun or remove the fun from them if they do something naughty. It's got to be instant, right in the moment. Toddlers are in the moment. Okay, and number 5 is stop trying to figure them out. Toddlers are not figure-outable. They're brand new, fresh human beings. They've got one marble and some tumbleweed floating around in there. They're cute as a button, but they're all feet, no brains. That's my least favorite age. Because I had a bad back and you're always having to bend over and grab them when they're running away or whatever. You know, like they're just so full on physically. So, yeah. I thought it was a fun age at home because I had a child-proofed home and it was easy. But whenever I took them out, oh, geez, because I'm a safety freak. So I was worried about them. How to transition, oh God, you're gonna hate me. How to transition a 2-year-old, oh sugar, just a sec. I had it. How to transition a 2-year-old co-sleeping to their own bed without trauma. They're gonna go through some trauma. That's okay, they'll survive. Check out my bedtime battles course. It's in the link above. You know what that's asking me? How do we get them to do the right thing without a scene? Sometimes you gotta upset the apple cart to make a change, right? You got to go through the storm to get to the rainbow. So don't worry about upsetting them. They're going to go through trauma after trauma after trauma when they learn how they can't have everything their own way and that you're the leader, right? So yeah. So without trauma, that's just, you know, it's a little, to you it may seem big, but it's tiny. Their trauma compared to our trauma is quite, like, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, they'll survive. Anyway, check out my bedtime battles course. It's one of my mini courses up in the link above. Yeah, I have this is you might be surprised at my answer for this. I have a 2-year-old who just underwent eye surgery last week. Keeping her calm so her pressure doesn't go high is very important, but she's becoming a monster with her, sugar, just a sec. A monster with her temper tantrums. I'm constantly giving in because I don't want her to get upset. Is this getting out of control though? Any advice? If give her whatever she wants if you can't let her get upset. This is a medical thing. You meet their needs and manage their wants. If you can't allow her to get upset, you give in to all of her tantrums just for now. Later on, you can teach her. You can do it right later on. But right now, the right way is protecting the eye, right? Protecting the eyes or eye. So yeah, give her whatever she wants. That's like if a kid is sick, and they have all these rules are all out the window. If a kid is sick, you've got to meet their needs first. Their needs are medical, you know, they got to have food, shelter, medical, protect health, all that sort of stuff. So yeah, that takes over from discipline. So yeah, give into whatever they want. There's no way I would let them get upset if it's going to compromise their eyes. Yeah. Later on, you can deal with the tantrums, but not now. I'm trying to get my 2.5-year-old to play independently. I've been trying my hardest to play with her. Okay, here's what. Oh, okay, so you already used my advice. I was going to tell you the exact same thing you already wrote. That's why I read it out. So I'm going to read it again. I'm trying to get my 2.5-year-old to independently play. I've been trying my hardest to play with her at least a few times a day for 15 minutes. And I tried, I'll be right back. I'm going to do the dishes and she'll just follow me. She has a hard time playing alone. Let her follow you. That's okay. Just say, I'm going to go do the dishes. Let her follow you. Let her be bored. Let her be frustrated for a while. That's okay. They've got to learn that you're not there to juggle for them all day long. They'll eventually learn. And you're already meeting her needs because you are playing with her. So my advice that this parent was just referring to, was if they won't independently play, you get them started. So you put a timer on, say, and when that timer goes off, I'm going to go and do the dishes. So then when the timer goes off, you've been playing with them, then you say, okay, I'm going to go do the dishes. And then she follows you. Let her follow you. That's okay. And keep doing the dishes. Don't apologize to her or anything. Like, she'll survive. Can you give more advice on teenagers? Well, that's my specialty. I love teenagers. I got tons of teenage clients right now. It's really weird. It goes in waves. I've got more teenage clients than any other age right now, I think. My 13-year-old daughter, who has bipolar disorder, is continuously stealing things from my oldest, mainly clothes, shoes, etc. I've tried everything that I know of. A little bit of a wrench in there for me in that she's got bipolar, so that I don't know how much that's affecting her. I don't know if it's controlled or not. But yeah, if she's stealing stuff, I would put no stealing on the behavior board. Just say it like it is. No stealing clothes from your sister, or no stealing anything, whatever. And then have a consequence. Yeah. I don't think bipolar would affect that. Like, what I mean is I'm trying to think how bipolar would affect that. I don't think so. I think I'd just still use the behavior board and say, if you steal something, there's a consequence. Then your sister gets something of yours, or you have to give something to your sister if you steal something from her. So yeah, the thing is, this stuff doesn't work if they don't respect you. It's harder to get this all to work. So with teenagers, whenever I'm hired to work with parents of teenagers, we work on your bonding, your connection, your respect first before we even address stuff. But if you're just doing this on your own with the behavior board, put down no stealing your sister's stuff, and there's a consequence if she does. So that's it. And check out the behavior board. It explains how to do that. With teenagers, I don't call it a behavior board. I call it a karma chart or an accountability chart or family law or something. Behavior board sounds a bit juvenile. I have a lot of my clients have taken that to work and used it with their staff. And they usually call it the company law or something. And they use it with humor. Like if you're late, you can't turn up without donuts, a flat of donuts. If you're more than a certain amount late, you have to turn up with donuts and coffee for everyone. And the boss's account, it has to do it too. So they do it with fun, but it, sort of keeps people on time anyway. Do you think rearranging a toddler's room would make her sleep and up frequently for a long period of time, or do they eventually adjust? Oh, I don't know about that. So what I think you're asking is, if you rearrange the room, does it upset them? They're pretty, I would still have some consistencies. Like if you have galaxy lights or a sound machine, I would still have that in the room. I wouldn't take everything out. But if you're just moving furniture around, I think they're okay with that. They're pretty pliable with stuff like that usually. Once they're in bed, if they're looking at the same lights on the ceiling, I think they'd be okay. Kids are tougher than you think. Six-year-old on school morning, up early, likes iPad, in bed 30 minutes, then routine, when done, then iPad, then again. If she fights when it needs to be turned off or doesn't get routine done before school, she loses iPad next morning, not working. Lost 3 last week. Okay. My school morning routine, I think you're referring to, I say you have an incentive for school morning. You put down on the behavior board, the rule is follow school morning routine. Then underneath you write out the school morning routine. And then you say, if you finish the school morning routine, that is get dressed, brush your teeth, get your bag packed, eat breakfast, then you can get a certain amount of iPad time or screen time, maybe just 10 minutes. But I don't know what you mean. She's in bed 30 minutes, then routine when done. I don't quite know what you mean there. There's no way they would get any screens until they've done all the school morning routine. It's an incentive. It's not a bribe. A bribe is when they're doing something naughty and you offer them something to stop doing something naughty. This is incentive for doing the right thing. There's a big difference between the two. So yeah, like my kids knew they could watch TV every morning before school, so long as everything was done. Then they would sit and watch TV and, for a few minutes, whatever. But yeah, don't give them anything until they've done what they need to do. My kids, I taught them, you've got to do what you need to do before you can do what you want to do. So I don't know if that helps or not, because I'm not exactly sure what you were talking about. What's your opinion on toddlers sleeping with you? Age dependent? I don't have an opinion. I don't have a professional opinion on that. I wouldn't want to do it. They always end up with their feet in your face or something. I can't stand sleeping with toddlers. They're always twisting around. They're always spread eagle on the bed sideways, and then you're off in the corner with no blankets. So yeah, I hated it. But anyway, I didn't do it. But that's my own personal view. But as a parenting coach, I don't have a view on that. If you like it and it works for you, do it. It's like Montessori. What's your opinion on Montessori? And I don't have an opinion on that. If you like it, do it. And it's same with there's a few things like that. I'm breastfeeding for years. So if it works for you, do it. There's certain things that just doesn't matter. Like, yeah, if it's working for you, do it. Probably not when they're 16, but you know what I'm saying. So I'm just scrolling ahead here. Sorry, because I don't like to answer questions unless I know you're still here. Sorry, my cold's still hanging on. When my 3, 4, and 5-year-old children, wow, you were busy for 3 years there, have their friends all over, they keep wanting to run around and get really, really loud. I tend to keep reminding them, but it seems to be, oh, boy, you're not going to like me. Kids get loud when they're all together and they're playing because they get excited and they try and talk over each other. I wouldn't try and stop that because they're having fun, right? They're not being naughty. They're having fun. Kids are just loud. I hated having birthday parties and all that stuff, just the noise, but I would never try and stop it because they're just kids. So yeah, sorry about that. That's just part of having kids is they're loud when they're playing. So yeah, if they've got all their friends over, yeah, I wouldn't try and stop that. Yeah. Okay. Every time I ask, I'm going to tell you what's going on here. Every time I ask my 5-year-old about what he did at school or at his dad's place, it's always, I don't remember. How can I encourage communication? You're confronting him. It's confrontational. It's putting him on the spot. So what'd you do today? Nothing. They always say that. But as time goes on, it comes out. They'll start remembering stuff. So yeah, don't try and pull it out of them. It'll come out. Just start talking about what you used to do at school. I remember when I was a kid, I used to go to school, and then they'll start talking about it. So yeah, don't put them on the spot, because every time you say, "What'd you do at school today?" they always say nothing, and then as time goes on, usually by the end of dinner, they've told you everything that's happened, and you're like, "Gee, I wish they hadn't told me everything that happened." It's like go on and on and on. Okay, my 11, almost 12-year-old is giving teachers and staff a really hard time at school. She is disrupting class. Any advice? Yeah, you got to work on your parenting stuff. You got to work on your leadership. That wouldn't happen if you were a leader at home. That wouldn't happen. When they have a leader at home that they respect, they wouldn't act out anywhere else. They just wouldn't. So check out my boot camp course. That might be for you. Right now, I'm running my live Zoom calls every Saturday afternoon with that course. Check that out. You can still get in on that. But yeah, got to work on your leadership skills. Yeah, I could go on. I could give you a whole bunch of different advice on that, but basically, it's just leadership. They carry your leadership umbrella around everywhere with them. What I mean by that is when they've got a leader at home, someone that they respect and look up to, you're like a mentor to them. There's no way they'd want to face you if you were. They wouldn't do it. It's not even that they are afraid of you or anything. They like themselves. They tend to be respectful. And when they respect their parents, they tend to respect other people too. So, yeah, work on your leadership skills. I'm going to talk a little bit about what I want to talk about, because I'm always responding to what people are asking me on these lives. But what I really want to talk about here with parenting is that the discipline is a very tiny part of it. On the lives, I'm just answering your questions, but discipline is a very tiny part of parenting. I always say you deal with the bad behavior, then you focus on the good kid. Your focus as a parent should be listening, should be having fun with your kids, connecting with them in their world, and really trying to enjoy them. And the discipline is a tiny, tiny part of that. I know it's all encompassing when you're really struggling with your kids, but yeah, I don't know what to say about this. In that, how do I put this? How am I supposed to enjoy my kids if they're acting out all the time? You do deal with discipline. That's what the behavior board's all about. Eventually, you'll get there. It takes about 5 weeks to really start to get this. That's why my boot camp course is 5 weeks. My coaching is 5 weeks. There's still work to do after that, but you'll get it. You'll just know what to do generally. That's the way it works. The older your kids, some people hire me, in future again, because their kids get older or whatever. But generally, especially with young kids, it's about 5 to 6 weeks before you really start to get your leadership skills in place. And it's hard work. You got to work for this. Everything worthwhile is hard work, right? You got to earn that. Earning their respect is hard work. Once you've got it, then you can just relax and enjoy them and be friends. But you're not, when I say hard work, you're not just disciplining all the time. You'll notice on that behavior board, if you yell, you have to play hide and seek with them for 10 minutes or 15 minutes or whatever. So you want to bond with them, connect with them, be fun. They're much more likely to listen to you if you're fun and you're playing with them. Children's love language is play. It's not praise. Should I lecture about this? I always feel like I'm lecturing whenever I talk like this, but I got to say it. Anyway, parents these days tend to overpraise and underplay. Okay, so it goes something like this. Like, let's say you got a 5-year-old and you're talking to your 5-year-old. You're such a special boy. You're really smart. You can do anything you want. I'm so proud of you. I'm going to go do the dishes now. This is your kid. Okay, look at the difference now. If you say, hey, what are you playing with? Can I play too? What's this? He's like this. See, that's his love language. Spend time with them in their world. Play with them. They'll start to respect you more. They just will. Yeah, it's not bad, but it doesn't get good behavior, by the way. Praise does not get good behavior at all. I'm not even going to say praise alone doesn't get good behavior. No praise gets good behavior. I've never seen it. Some of my clients are child psychologists, and we argue this one. We argue ignoring tantrums and praise gets good behavior. I like to think I win every time. Maybe they think they do. But anyway, um, but praise does not get good behavior. Telling a child they're wonderful, they're good, they're special does not get good behavior at all. Consequences and playing and bonding with them. That's what it's all about. That's leadership. You connect with them, play with them, but you have rules. And there's consequences when they break a rule. So yeah, praise is overused. It's so overused. It's not bad, but it doesn't get you anything, really. They don't care about it. You do. They don't care about it. Okay, 2-year-old saying the F word. Yeah, it's really difficult with a 2-year-old, 2-year-old especially. You just say no and you redirect. You just say no and redirect. But then when they stop saying it, okay, parents are so quick to always want to correct bad behavior, but you got to, if they say it and then you say no and then you can walk away. But then go back and start playing with them. Every time they say it, you say no and get up and walk away. Eventually they'll learn, hey, wait a minute, they're going to walk away every time I say that, and then they'll just stop saying it. But they're not going to learn the first 10 or 20 times. It might take 50 times. You're going to have to hear the F word a lot from your 2-year-old before they stop saying it. I remember once, I cannot say what the word is, of course I can't, but my daughter was in the car and she was, I don't know, 7 or 8, and we were driving home. My son's 5 years older. We're both in the back seat and we're driving home after school. And she goes, Mommy, what does beep mean? And it was like the worst word you can think of. My son and I just went, she went, oh, never mind. She realized right away it was something rude. The way she just came out with it, this sweet little innocent girl. She was such a sweet little thing. Mommy, what does beep mean? Oops. It was so funny. Kids are great. My daughter's screen times gets out of control when I was taking care of my mother who passed away. I am trying to scale it away down by having, she's 9. Okay. Yeah, screen time. I've got a whole bunch of videos on that. Where am I? I'm on Facebook. I'm sure I have them on here. But anyway, this is how I manage screen time with kids. There's 3 different ways of doing it. 2 of them are okay. I don't really like them. It's the 3rd one I like, but I'll tell you the other 2 in case you want to use them. One is every day you say, okay, every day you can have an hour a day or whatever. Don't worry about the time. You decide how much time. But I'm just telling you how it works. Decide on a time and say you got an hour a day. That's one way. The second way is you can say you've got a certain allotted time frame each day. So between 7 and 8 or whatever, you decide when that is. I don't like either one of those really. I would rather this one, especially for a 9-year-old. You say, look, you've got a certain number of hours per week. You're in charge of when you do that. Within reason. It can't be like at 2 in the morning, but within reason. So let them manage their time. Say, look, you got 10 hours a week. That's 600 minutes. I'm the scorekeeper. I'm going to keep track, and when they're all used up, you don't have any more screen time. Let them manage that. The only things that don't count is, like screens are all screens, right? Media management. The only thing that doesn't count is if it's a family movie night. You don't count that. They don't have to include that. That's a family thing. Anyway, my voice is starting to go again, so I better move off to Instagram. Anyway, thanks so much for joining me. Check out the link above. You can get my free behavior board, my mini toddler courses, my big boot camp course. I'm still doing those live Zoom coaching group calls on Saturday afternoons. Check it out. I've got 5 more of those to go. So, and then coaching. I can't take everyone on these days. If you've already sent me emails, I only answer those emails if I can take new people on. So, but you can send me an email. And by the way, if you're in crisis with your child, I will always take crisis clients on. That's life and death, especially the teen stuff. That's sort of my specialty, is the crisis work. I will always take you on. You'll be a priority. My first priority is my past clients. So if you're a previous client and you want to sign up again, then you'll take priority. But other than that, put down why you want to hire me, the ages of your kids, and then we'll go from there. But check it out first. Decide whether or not you want to hire me, and then we'll go from there. But anyway, what am I doing? All right, I'm moving over to Instagram now. Thanks for joining me. Happy parenting. Okay, on Instagram now. No one, I got someone on YouTube. No one's asking questions on YouTube though. YouTube's my slowest platform. But this is where I keep all of my, when I say slowest, I mean my smallest. Did I say smallest? Anyway, that's where I keep all of my lives. I know my webcam's up there, but my screen for YouTube is down there. That's why I always talk to YouTube when I'm looking down. Okay. Okay, welcome. I'm sure you might have come over. A lot of you probably came over from Facebook, so we'll are just continuing from there. Anyway, my name's Lisa. I'm a parenting coach. If you look at the link above, you'll see my free behavior board, my mini toddler courses, my big boot camp course. I've got those Zoom sessions going on right now every Saturday afternoon with me with the boot camp course. If you're interested, there's 5 more to go. And then coaching. If you're interested in coaching, look it up. I can't take everyone on these days because I'm super busy. But anyway, look into that. And if you're interested, so. I usually try and point people towards the courses. But if you really want one-on-one help, that would be coaching. And the only course I've got for leadership parenting is 3 to 12 years old. I don't have one for teens yet. So all teens would be coaching. Or you can just use the free behavior board. Give that a go. How to play more goofy with toddler when you're not a silly, goofy person. This comes up a lot in coaching. I am a goofball, so it's easier for me because I think I'm kind of immature in a lot of ways. I just have a sense of wonder. I like playing and goofing around. You know what? I'm still depressed over the fact that there was no slime or kinetic sand when my kids were little. I would have loved that. So I've got grandkids now. So yeah, I get to, when they get older, I'll get to play with slime. But yeah, just watch how they play and join in. That's all. Watch how they play. Let them lead the play. Let kids be in charge of the play. You're in charge of the rest. So that's why it's so important to give them that control, give them the power over the play. So yeah, just watch how they play and join in. You don't have to be goofy. I was goofy. That's my style. But you don't have to be goofy, but you want to enter their world. And if you're joining in and playing with them, you don't have to be goofy. They're just thrilled you're right there. I'll tell you this cute story. I thought this was so adorable. This was years and years ago. A friend of my son's had a little boy. The little boy was about 4 or 5, I can't remember. And they lived in different provinces in Canada here. And so every night the dad would call the little boy on the phone. This is years ago. He would call him on the phone because they didn't have a computer. I don't know how it worked, but anyway. So he'd call him on the phone, and then the little boy would play beside the phone, but he wasn't talking to his dad. But when his dad had to go, he'd yell out his name to let him know. So the little boy would pick up the phone, and he says, I got to go now. And the little boy said this. He said, no, Daddy, I want you to keep listening to me play. So he wasn't even talking to him. He knew his dad was there listening to him play. Is that the cutest thing? Oh, I thought that was just adorable. Oh. Okay. Yeah, it's just important that they know you're present, that you're listening to them play or you're with them. So you don't have to be goofy. Okay. Oh, I'm getting tears in my eyes. I just thought that was the cutest thing. Okay. My 4-year-old likes to pick up bad behavior from neighbor's son and likes to copy all things he says and does. Yeah, at 4 years old, okay, I'm going to tell you this. You're at the height of your leadership skills between 3 and 12, okay? 3 and 12 years old with your kids. That's when you're at the height. You're like their mentor. They look up to you. They respect you. You're a friend too. Like you're fun. You're a friend, but you're there like their mentor. They look up to you. They're under your leadership umbrella, past the age of about 3.5 and 4 especially. So they're not influenced by others. When you're a good leader, they are not influenced. They're not susceptible to peer pressure, which is what that is. They're not susceptible to that, or bullying, or the drug dealer on the corner, or the internet, or the Kardashians. But yeah, your child is susceptible to that bad behavior because your leadership skills are not quite cemented yet. So get those cemented, and they just don't act up anywhere. They just don't, because they just have that they have that pride in themselves, and they just yeah. So look into the boot camp course. That might be good for you. I've still got those live Zoom calls going on for the next 5 weeks. I'll be doing group coaching on the course. Anyway. Are you also on YouTube? Yeah, I'm on YouTube right now. That's my smallest platform. It is a beast. I can't figure that one out. I've got someone working on it, but we can't figure that. It just takes time. It's my smallest platform. So if you ask questions on there, you'll be one of the few. But because what I do is because the screen's down there. When I'm answering questions on YouTube, people like to type a lot because they're often on their computers when they're on YouTube. So they type a lot. So I don't always get to those questions. Also, I tend to answer those questions when I'm zipping between Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok waiting for people to turn up. So yeah, I will answer questions on there too. Don't type too much. I don't have the time to ask all the questions, but there is one on there. This is from Suzanne. Oh, you've been here a few times, Suzanne. Did you ever struggle to switch from silly stuff to serious? My mom used to always despair that my dad would get me high as a kite and then expect me to calm down immediately when fun was over. Great question. I haven't been asked that for a while. Tell you what I used to do. I used to be the panty monster. So every day I'd do laundry and I'd put all the underpants on my head with the leg holes were the eye holes. And then I'd chase the kids around the house as the panty monster. But if they ever acted out or argued or did anything, those panties would come right off in a shot and I'd say, excuse me, I was mom like that. So I was the goofball, I was the panty monster 1 minute, but anytime that they needed mom, those panties would come right off. I'd say, excuse me? Oh, sorry, mom. So yeah, you can switch it like that. Kids are very good at that. They pick up on that. I remember once I had a neighbor over while I was doing, she was just popped in, you know how neighborhoods are. So she just popped in and I was doing laundry and the kids were running around the house screaming. Well, my kids just weren't like that. They were really super well-behaved kids. And she goes, what are your kids doing? She'd never seen them like that before. And I said, what do you mean? And she said, oh, I get it. They were getting ready for the panty monsters. So I said, oh, I'll show you why they're screaming because they were getting all excited. So I put all the panties on my head and then I chased them around so she understood. When you do something every day, you don't realize it's weird. But yeah, that's not weird, is it? Being a panty monster? By the way, they were clean undies. I just did the laundry. Our 2-year-old just transitioned into a big boy room. It went well. Perfect. That can be a real struggle. Expecting a baby in 6 weeks. Would it be too much to change to potty training now? Well, is he? Okay. I don't know if he's ready or not, but 2.5, they almost all are. I have a potty party training course in the link above if you're interested. You might want to check that out. But if you think he's ready, yeah, I would. Yeah, the more you can make your life easier. Sometimes, though, people say life's harder when they're potty trained because you have to keep jumping up, helping them on the potty. So that's kind of like there's no right and wrong with that. If he's 2.5, I would say yes. If he's just turned 2, maybe wait. I don't know. There's no perfect answer for that. My 3-year-old says I said yes when I say no. Okay, so you say no, and then he said I said yes, and I would go like I wouldn't respond to that at all. Whatever you just said no to, make sure he doesn't get it, or make sure, yeah. Oh, okay, TV goes off now. I said yes, TV would be off. Once I've said something, I take action. It happens. I would not respond to that at all. Oh, roughhousing with kids, good or bad? Yeah, this is a kind of an awkward one for me because I never did roughhouse with kids because I know that once you open that door to roughhousing, it can lead to other things, right? They just get used to being physical. So, but I get like a lot of like Southerners and that, like cowboys, you know, type rodeo guys and that who've hired me because once one does, they tell their friends. So, and they all roughhouse with their kids. You think I'm going to take that away from those dads who love wrestling with their kids? So no, I'm not. I think it's cute. You know, but it can lead to, you know, them being more physical down the road. But if they're down south and rodeo and that kind of world, then you see what I mean? I'm sort of, yeah, I never did it and I wouldn't strongly recommend it. But if I got parents who that's how the dads connect with their little boys and that, I'm not going to say not to do that. You know, I think it's kind of cute. So yeah, overall, I wouldn't do it, but I don't have a real set idea on that one. Okay, how do I encourage my 8-year-old to take responsibility for his actions rather than blaming others and coming up with excuses? Are you a right-fighting household? Do you admit when you make mistakes? Because they're watching you. If you're really good at saying, yeah, I messed up, how about I do this for you to make it up to you? Get the behavior board, check it out, start there, and then put a rule and a consequence for everybody, you included. We all need to learn to be accountable for our actions. A lot of parents expect their kids to be accountable, but they're not accountable. Do you mess up and apologize to your kids and make amends? Then they're more likely to do it. Or are you a right-fighting household, my way or the highway? I don't know. I'm guessing you might be because that's a learned behavior, that blaming others and coming up with excuses. It's a learned behavior. It says to me that it's wrong to be wrong. It's not wrong to be wrong. It's wrong to not be accountable when you're wrong. Don't ask me to explain that. I don't think I could. As I'm saying it, I'm going, what? It's not wrong to be wrong. Oh, God. I said something the other day, too. And then I said it it was so convoluted, and I was coaching. And I said, and then you set it up like this, and then you do it like that. And then I said, oh my God, I have no idea what I just said. But they'd written it down. They said, no, I got it. And they had to explain what I just said. I had no idea what I just said. And they said, no, it makes perfect sense. Really? Like I completely blanked. Good to know how much they are. How much what is? Don't know. When 9-year-old is calling you names during a tantrum, do you ignore it? Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. It's just manipulation. Yeah, I completely ignore a tantrum and anything they're doing during a tantrum, except if they get physical. If they're hurting you or themselves or damaging property, I would try and intervene. 9-year-old gets a little bit trickier. Okay, I would only intervene if they're hurting themselves or someone else, but I probably would let them damage property. And if it's going to be like a fist fight kind of thing to stop it, like it can get really ugly as they get older. But yeah, I ignore all that stuff, and I don't actually. It's kind of a fine line there. I don't discuss tantrums before, during, or after. If they were name calling during a tantrum, even then, I tend not to do it because the idea is once you're a leader, they don't have tantrums anymore. There's no need to. They learn how to work things out with you. They just don't tantrum when they've got a leader as a parent at 9. Not at 9. Tantrums usually stop by 3.5, 4 at the latest, if you're a leader. Oh, this is interesting. Son is 3.5 and is very dramatic when he doesn't get his way. He has the whiniest response. His school wants us to manage it somehow. It's interesting that the school wants you to manage it. It must be next level. Like I'm wondering why school doesn't just ignore it when he doesn't get his own way. He must be doing something to disrupt the class in order for the school to ask you to deal with that. Anyway, check out the boot camp course. That might be for you. Teaches you how to be a leader, and then you'll know how to address that kind of stuff. Right now, I've got my live Zooms. I'm doing group coaching with the course, the boot camp course. I'm doing live Zooms every Saturday afternoon with those right now. So check that out. We'll be doing it's a group coaching call. And yeah, last week I had 35 people turn up on a Saturday afternoon, family, like the family. I was very impressed with that. Sorry, I've got to skip ahead because people come and go, and oh God, there's so many questions. I want to make sure you're here when I answer your question. I always learn from you. My granddaughter and I are winning. Excellent. I get this every day. I get emails telling me how this is working. It just works. The problem is that you're actually changing yourself. It's not about your kids. You're changing yourself. When you learn how to calm down and deal out discipline in a really organized fashion, and you're accountable also using that behavior board, the kids just get on board with it. Things just get easier, but it usually gets worse before it gets better. This is it. The people tend to quit before they get to the easy part. They tend to go, oh, this is ugly. Yeah, it's going to get ugly. If you've had like 9 years of them being in charge and all of a sudden you try and take charge with something, they're going to fight back. They're going to get worse before they get better. You got to get past that hump. It's that bell curve. You got to go up and down the other side. So yeah, you can't go down the other side till you've gone up. You got to go through the storm to get to the rainbow. And I'm sorry, I haven't had any time to answer messages or comments. I just don't. I won't go on about it, but I'm really busy. I'm really busy right now. So I'm sorry I don't have time. Hopefully one day I'll get to more comments in that. If you really need to get a hold of me, I only answer parenting questions here. It's the only place I do it, except coaching in my course and that. But yeah, this is the only place I answer parent. That's why I do this, because I don't have time to answer comments or anything. This is my connection with you and my platforms is the lives. And I usually am on here for an hour to an hour and a half every day. So, but yeah, don't send me an email asking me general parenting questions. I won't answer it. I don't have time. So, but this is where I answer them, just so you know. So if I'm not answering your emails, I'll usually say, I don't have time, sorry, going live, but I don't even always have time for that. So. Well, I'm going to read this out. I don't know if you're joking or what. How do you all feel with spanking only once, then putting baby in corner when they are doing wrong? Well, I don't like spanking and I don't like timeout, so I don't do either one of those. So I don't know who you're talking to there. 3-year-old hitting with tantrums. In my tantrum course, I go through that. If they're hitting just when they're mad, that's a different course. That's toddlers who hit. But if it's during a tantrum, then I just physically restrain them. I still ignore them. You don't talk to them or look at them. But you can check out the tantrum course if you're interested. 2-year-old. Yeah, I don't use timeout and I don't spank. So yeah. I'll just go on about this a little bit. I hate timeout. I can't stand it. I think it's humiliating and mean. And when you say to a kid, you go in the corner and you think about what you did. They're not. They're sitting there feeling like garbage. So yeah, it's humiliating. You know how you would feel if your boss put you in a corner because you made a mistake at work? It's the same feeling. They just can't express that. But it's the exact same feeling. Yeah, I don't like timeout. I go a step further and say I hate it. I really do. Okay, sorry, I'm going to have to move over to, I can tell my voice is starting to go again. I've been coaching all day long, and now I'm trying to do a live, and I'm just getting over a cold. So I just got enough in me to do a TikTok right now. So I'm going to move over to TikTok now. If you want to join me over there, it's Bratbusters Parenting. If not, just look at the link above. You can see my free behavior board, my mini toddler courses, my big boot camp course. I still have those weekly Zoom group coaching calls on my boot camp course right now. I've got 5 more. So you can still get in on that. And those courses are being embedded into the course afterwards. So anyway, and then coaching. You can look into that. I can't take everyone on these days. I'm really busy. But you can look into coaching. If you're in crisis, put that in the subject line and I'll look at it for sure. Anyway, thanks so much for joining me. I'm moving over to TikTok now. Happy parenting. Gotta make sure I'm on the right channel because I have a private one too, or a personal one. I mean, it's not private. Okay, now YouTube here. You're not really asking me a question. You're asking about your really wild, loud boys. It could just be that they're boys. Also, it kind of reminds me, I had this friend years and years ago. She had 2 little boys, and they were pretty good when mom wasn't around. If mom was around, they were wild and naughty. They were throwing food everywhere. As soon as mom walked in the room, they were rotten. It was unbelievable. Like it was like that. And no one had them over or anything. They were that difficult. They would just trash your house. And it was as soon as mom walked in the room. And I knew exactly why. It was because mom just found them absolutely exasperating. She was struggling. They were challenging her all the time. It was just a nightmare. But anyway, so yeah, I don't know if that's what's going on. It doesn't sound quite as bad. But they often act out. Work on your leadership skills, and that just wouldn't happen. Yeah, she was not a leader. She was just so worn out. So yeah. Yeah, you couldn't have those kids over. You know what they did at my house? I didn't know them very well. Someone warned me. They said, don't have those kids over. But I forgot about that or something. So anyway, I had her over, and it was just for a really quick visit for something. She was picking something up, and her kids came in I don't know. Oh, yeah, what she did, so stupid. She came in just to pick something up. I didn't know her that well. So she was a friend of a friend. She came in to pick something up at my house. She brought her boys in, and she instantly gave them food. I guess just give them food to try and keep them from not destroying the house. They took their food, jammed it into my VCR, jammed it into into the couch. I don't know why she gave them food. They just smashed all the food all into my furniture. And I didn't know how to say, get out of here. I was just thinking, get out of here. Like, oh, it was a nightmare. Wow, I'd forgotten all about that. That was a freaking nightmare. I was warned. Someone said, never let those kids in your house. Woo! I don't mean to laugh, but I can't help it. Yeah. Oh, I don't blame you. It was a nightmare. I couldn't, and they threw it. They threw the food. It all went down behind the TV. They were throwing it. It's wild. Oh, wow. I've forgotten all about that. That was about 30 years ago. Okay. 2 brothers. Yeah, they were 2 brothers. But they were just feeding off the mom. She was just, and funny, she went to the bathroom. She used my bathroom. As soon as she went there, they just sat there and didn't do anything. As soon as she came back in the room, they started throwing food again. So it was her. It was all triggered by her. Okay, it's funny. Okay, if implemented, oh, good one. Okay, this comes up a lot. Now, if implemented media blackout consequence, but bad behavior continues, then what? Okay, this comes up all the time. So let's say that on the behavior board, you put a rule. They broke the rule. The consequence, there's always two consequences for the kids. The first one is a positive action. So they broke a rule. You say, okay, so you have to sweep the floor within 15 minutes of being asked to do so. Always time it. Timers are gold. It's always time it. So they didn't do it. So now you said, okay, fine. You didn't do that. Now media blackout starts for 24 hours. In that 24 hours, they are breaking rule after rule, upside down, constantly. That the most, I kind of would ignore that. I might just go like this, or I would say, but I'd let them know. That's why you have media blackout. They're still learning a lesson because they are suffering through media blackout. So they're still learning a lesson, but it's a bit of a free rein for them because they know there's not much you can do now. You don't keep doubling it. The only time I would ever double it and make it 48 hours is they have to be 9 years old and over, and it has to be next level. They have to be coming at you, swearing, calling you names. And then I might say, I'll tell you what, if you keep at me, we'll double it. What are you going to do? And then if they keep calling you horrible names and really vile, like this is 9 and over, then I would say that was your choice. 48-hour blackout starts now. That is 48 hours of pure hell for you. But it's very rare I would do that when I'm coaching. Very, very rare. But other than that, no, don't double it. Then you're just going to have 48 hours of hell instead of 24. Okay. Competing, fighting brothers, 5 and 7, loud and all over my house, my head going to explode. Hell. Okay, there's just a million different ways I could deal with that. Sibling rivalry is what I call it when it's siblings that are fighting. You can either separate them and you say, okay, so you've got some time in the family room for an hour, then you switch and go back and forth. You can actually have a whole day where you're just keeping them separate. Can't get along, I'm going to separate you. You can go through a whole day. They usually get sick of that. And it's hard work for you. But if they don't respect you, they're not even going to do that. They're just going to keep running and fighting anyway. So put it on the behavior board. You never put no fighting. That's ridiculous. But you put down on the behavior board, okay, no hitting. You can say no hitting or no name calling or no bad words, but you can't put no fighting. That's like saying it's ridiculous. It's like saying get along, be respectful, be nice. You can't put that big broad statement on there. It's ridiculous. But you can put down no hitting or whatever. So yeah, they're 5 and 7. I would use the behavior board. Check out the boot camp course. That might be for you. Also, what I suggest, if they're not getting along, you don't do one-on-one time with kids that don't get along. It builds resentment. It builds hatred. What you do is like kids who are fighting all the time. Have you actually taught them how to play well together? What you do is you play with them and you don't do anything competitive because you said they're always competing. Don't play a game like don't play Monopoly or something. We all know who's going to win the first round of the game, right? So yeah, don't play anything where there's a winner and a loser. Just do fun stuff with them. Play with Play-Doh or something. Do fun stuff. Play Lego and make it non-competitive. So and have okay, I'll make this 5 minutes. Let's see what I can make in 5 minutes. Now let's see what you can make in 5 minutes, and just have fun with it. So, but teach them how to play together, and you are in there orchestrating it, and then they will learn how to get along together better, hopefully. There's a lot of different methods with that. I kind of need to know where it started, when it started, how they fight. Is it physical? Is it just words? So yeah, it comes up a lot in coaching. But often when kids are fighting, I say, do you do one-on-one time with your kids? And they go, yeah. And I say, well, that's why they're fighting so much, because it's building resentment. Probably my fault is physical too. If it's your fault, that's good. Always take blame for everything because then you can change it. If you're not willing to take responsibility for your kid's behavior, I can't help you. Like you got to take responsibility for it. Remember, I'm not fixing kids here. I'm teaching parents. If you're not willing to blame yourself and take full responsibility for their behavior, I really can't help you. Like you got to take full responsibility. I've worked with hundreds of kids over the years. I only saw them for like an hour a week, and I took full responsibility of their behavior when they were with me. Because I'm a leader, right? And that's what leaders do. Yeah. If they act out under my care, that's my fault. Is it always my fault? No. But do I take it that way? Yeah, I treat it that way. As a leader, always takes responsibility. So. Well, I'm going to read this out, and you're not going to like why I'm reading it out. Thoughts on all the TikTok moms talking about how they don't play with their kids. Don't judge them. You don't know where they're coming from. So yeah, don't judge them. Passive aggressive judge. I don't like that. Yeah. Every parent does the best they know how. Okay. No one is handed a baby in the hospital and says, "I'm going to mess you up." Everyone goes, "I'm going to be the best." Everyone does the best they know how. So don't judge people. I mean, I work with parents every single day, and yeah, you just don't judge them. They're doing the best they know how. Any tips on dealing with jealousy between kids? That again, if you're doing one-on-one time individually with your children, that can build resentment and jealousy. Learn how to play with them, teach them how to get along and enjoy each other's company with you there orchestrating it. Do fun stuff, not competitive stuff, not where there's a winner and a loser. Yeah, it is judgment. It is. Yep, absolutely. Okay. Oh, thank you so much for all the great advice. Now I need someone to do the same with our dogs. Oh God, I'm useless with dogs. They walk all over me. I've had dogs my whole life. My last dog died a year and a half ago. It's the first time my whole life I haven't had pets. They walk all over me. I'm useless. Useless with them. Useless. So why is that? Why am I? Kids are so easy for me. Piece of teenagers, piece of cake. Dogs, yeah, they walk all over me. Like whatever they want. Yeah, I'm horrible. Yeah, I'm going to bring this up because I'm going to read it, but I don't really have a good answer for you. And the only reason I'm reading it is because it's so common. And I get this a lot in coaching. Any tips for a new stepmom for helping parent without overstepping boundaries? That is a really tricky one because they're not your kids, right? I don't even know what to tell you because I never tell people how to tell other people how to parent. And I never tell people how to parent. If they hire me, I give them advice because they paid for it. That's soliciting my advice, but I never offer advice. Like you're soliciting my advice here. I never, ever offer parenting advice. So I don't know what to tell you. You see where I'm coming from? Because I don't do it. I don't tell people how to parent. I give them advice if they ask me. That's all. Like in my personal life, I never tell people how to parent. And all my kids, my son's a dad now. I would never tell him how to parent. It's none of my business. None of my beeswax. Because they're not going to be the same parent I was. Doesn't mean they're better or worse. It's just they're going to have their own style. And they may do things I wouldn't do, but they may do other things better. So, like I would never tell someone in my personal life ever. Never. Yeah. It's a tricky one. When do you start dealing with tantrums? About 10 months old, 10, 11, 12 months old. And when they're having a tantrum, well, that's when they really start to get into it. And they might start throwing themselves back if they're sitting up and stuff like that. If they're having a tantrum, I would redirect them when they're babies. So I would just walk around with them, but you still don't look at them or talk to them during a tantrum. It feeds it. It just makes it worse. So I would just walk around and say, "Oh, I really like this book," and stuff like that. I sort of am redirecting, but not this way. Here, look at the bunny. I don't do it like that. I sort of like an indirect way of redirecting. Does that make any sense? I might be holding them, keeping them safe, and then saying, "Oh, look at this book over here. Oh, I like this book. Yeah, that's." You see, you look like you don't even know they're there. the idea is that they'll just kind of, get on board with that. But yeah, that's how you start. So you're still ignoring it, but you're redirecting. You stop redirecting at about 16 months old. That's when they turn into toddlers. You stop the redirecting, you just ignore. But before that, the redirecting is indirect. So you might sit on the floor and start reading their favorite book out loud to yourself. Ooh, and the fox jumped over that. Ooh, that's wow. But you're talking to yourself. The idea is they often will come over and crawl into your lap. But yeah, they're still babies until they're about 15, 16 months old. Oh, geez, I'm getting over this cold. I'm starting to lose my voice. Because I coach all day and then I try and do a live, so my voice is just at its end at this point. Okay, at what age do you think medication for ADHD is appropriate? I'm not a doctor. I don't talk about medication. I just had a client today. We were talking. I think it was today anyway. most of my, or a huge portion of my clients have kids with ADHD, but those are all the kids I learned. Like nothing changes with ADHD. That's where I learned all this stuff. Is all the kids I worked with usually had ADHD. So I'm not a doctor, and I hate medication. Like I don't even take I hate taking aspirin or anything myself. But if I thought it was going to help my kid and it was for the best, I would do it. But that's a doctor that has to decide, I would listen to the doctor basically. And maybe if you're not sure, I'd get different doctor's advice. That's a doctor thing, not a silly old parenting coach thing. But in my personal life, if I thought my kids needed it and it would improve their life, and yeah, I would do it. I think, as long as it was safe. But yeah, that's up to the doctor for sure. What do you do with a 16-month-old who could tantrum for 45 minutes if not helped? Well, I don't know what you mean by helped. Yeah, they can go on for 45 minutes. Yeah, absolutely. They can go on for 45 minutes. But in the meantime, I might read a book off to the corner, but there's no way I would look at them or talk to them. No, I would be reading a book off on the side. Might be wandering around doing stuff. You know what's interesting is they never tantrum in a room alone. They'll get up and follow you. So they do it for attention. So that attention is tantrum food. If you're giving them any attention during a tantrum, you're fertilizing it. It's going to grow and grow and grow. Any book recommendations for new parents? I've never read a book on parenting or kids. So everything I teach kids taught me all this. So it's all experience-based. So I don't know. But there are 2 criteria I would highly recommend. If I was going to take parenting advice from someone, these are 2 things I would look out for. They have to have finished the job with their own kids. How can they possibly talk about parenting if they haven't finished the job? Have they lived with teenagers and raised them into adulthood? So they have to have finished the job just so that they know what they're doing when they're little. They know it pays off down the road. Because a lot of what's trendy right now, I know it backfires down the road. And that's when people come to me and they fix it, right? But yeah, so they have to have finished the job, number 1. Number 2 is they might have just had really easy kids. They have to have had experience with hundreds of other kids too, with all sorts of challenges. How on earth could they write a book on parenting if they don't have experience with hundreds of kids and seen pretty much everything? So those are the 2 criteria: experience, and they have to have finished the job with their own kids. If not, like if you take advice from someone who just has young children, that's like taking financial advice from someone with $10 in the bank. How could they possibly talk about parenting if they haven't even finished it? How do they know if what they're doing is going to turn out? Right? Doesn't make any sense. Teenagers are a different beast. And a lot of parents don't know how to transition into the teen years, especially if you haven't lived with them before. It's a different thing. They're my favorite age, teenagers. But yeah, it's a different thing. I'm going to read out my top 3 tips for parenting teenagers. That's how I started my business. I specialized in teen crisis work. And I think even when I quit, I'll quit coaching. I'm old. I'm in my 60s now. I think when I quit coaching, I'll probably still do teen crisis work. Only because not many people do it. It is life and death often. It's a lot. It can be stressful if you're not sort of really experienced with it, but it's still, it's very serious, right? So anyway, these are my top 3 tips for parenting teenagers. Sorry. Oh, shoot, my voice. Sorry. My top 3 tips for parenting teenagers. Listen to understand and show empathy. You don't listen to gather information to lecture with, or they will shut you out. Guaranteed. If they want your advice, they'll ask for it. They already know it anyway. Okay, so you listen to understand and show empathy. Use these, not this. When they tell you something they just unloaded, just go silent. Just go, yeah, that would be really frustrating. Let them lead the way, okay? Number 2 is you negotiate pretty much everything. It's not a blanket statement, but do it whenever you can. A good example of this is, hey, I want your dirty clothes in the hamper from now on. What do you want from me? If you come at them with this approach, they're often really reasonable. Often they're not. But anyway, number 3 is don't sweat the small stuff with teenagers. Save your energy for the big stuff if you even need it. And if they do something stupid and it's not a big deal, just say, well, that was stupid. Do you want to hear what I did when I was your age? And laugh it off. In other words, it's okay to not be perfect. It's okay to make mistakes, just like you did, just like I did, just like we all do. It's okay. Don't treat them like they're bad just because they did something stupid. Okay? We deal with bad stuff, but then we focus on the good kid. Say, yeah, we all make mistakes. Oh, well, we learn from them. I think I should go. My voice is starting to go. I can feel it. Do I have any coaching tonight? No, I'm done. Oh, thank God. Because I always have to save myself for coaching. That's why I wait till the end of the day to do lives, because if I'm losing my voice, I can't lose it during a coaching session. Just because of I got a cold right now. Okay, I think I should go. I'm losing my voice, and I've got lots of coaching tomorrow. So anyway, thanks so much for joining me. Check out the link above. You can get my free behavior board, my mini toddler courses, my big boot camp course. I've still got those live Zoom group coaching sessions going with the boot camp course. There's 5 more of those sessions going. I'm doing it every Saturday afternoon if you're in the boot camp course. Anyway, check that out. Or coaching. You can look into coaching. I don't have time to take everyone on right now. My schedule is really packed. That sometimes I'll get cancellations and people will go away for a while. Then I can take someone else. You get the idea. Anyway, so look into that if you're interested in one-on-one coaching with me. Anyway, thanks so much for watching. Happy parenting. Bye now.